What is happening guys, 85Q101 here and welcome to my review of the 2014 Canadian Grand Prix at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. The race just went, well, yesterday actually. Unfortunately I was at work throughout the whole race, so I wasn't able to watch it. Luckily I managed to catch up with some of the highlights on BBC iPlayer, and yeah, here we go. So it was a surprisingly interesting race this weekend. Usually, my phone just got went off. Usually we don't really expect a huge amount of battles in that, and well, you sort of do, but it's not exactly a lot of mayhem, if you want to say it like that. We've had, just put up, we've had, um, 10 retirements, isn't it? Got on my screen. 11 retirements from the grid. 11 retirements. And the Canadian Grand Prix, I think that's quite a lot of retirements we've seen in quite some time in Canada. Lewis Hamilton being one of them once again retired from the race because of a brake problem. Now this was actually rather interesting. And by the way, guy, because after the controversy that happened in Monaco 2 weeks ago, where Nico Rosberg supposedly cheated his way into pole position, and as a result of that, he managed to take the win at Monaco. People are saying that he cheated his way onto pole, or not pole, but he cheated his way onto the race win as well this weekend, because apparently both Mercedes had the same engine problem. Their energy recovery system wasn't working as they should be. The MGUK, which in 2013 speak as the care system of the car, wasn't functioning, was permanently shut down for not exactly the whole race, but I think it was around about lap 30 halfway through the race, when both Mercedes cars suffered a huge loss of MGUK power. The MGUK wasn't working at all. Basically, if you think about it as a hybrid, as how a hybrid car works, when a driver puts his foot on the brakes, the kinetic energy given off the brakes is converted into electricity. That electricity is going through to the batteries, the MGU batteries, and then last year and the year before that this happened, when the driver wishes, he can press a little button on the steering wheel which pushes the electricity through from the batteries to an electric motor, which is connected to the rear wheels with the engine, which gives the drivers a bit more of a boost. Now, they don't have this button. I think they do have this button, but it's not as freely used as they used to. I think it's pretty much there, like not exactly permanently, but it's used without the driver's control, really, as far as I know, to work in conjunction with MGUH, which is the energy given off by the turbo, which is converted to electricity, and it just brings the turbo up a little bit more to reduce turbo lag. I'm hoping to make a video about all this a bit more for it in detail. I don't really know when this will be. I'm hoping within the next few weeks, but sometime this month in June I'll make this video. But anyway, both Mercedes did suffer zero MGUK power, and apparently as a result of this does decrease braking performance, and Lewis Hamilton retired because of I think it was pretty much a complete brake failure. We saw as Lewis Hamilton went into the hairpin before the long DRS straight, the first DRS straight, that he went wide, and we thought, oh, okay, he might have just broke a bit late when he tried to pass Nico Rosberg. He went wide, and I found out I was Rosberg trying to overtake him, so Hamilton went wide, allowed Nico Rosberg to go past with the DRS, and then into the braking zone. Hamilton and Rosberg were side by side. Nico had the inside line, Hamilton had the racing line, if you want to call it. When at the braking spot, Hamilton literally just kept on going. I mean, he obviously decelerated, but his brakes weren't going on, so clearly there was a problem there with his brakes. And when he cut the chicane massively, the World Champion chicane, he cut that massively. and he had to slow down to let Nico pass because it was clearly an advantage. But he kept on going wide on every corner, literally every corner. You have to lift and coast, literally in every corner quite early as well. And he went down, down, down the grid. He managed to do one lap. Luckily, he managed to take the car back to the pits, and then unfortunately had to retire. And Mercedes told Nico Rosberg to try different engine maps, try different settings to the brakes, just trying to make sure that this doesn't happen to him. And luckily it didn't, but he did suffer a lot of power and speed because of the lack of MG UK power, and he dropped down to third, no, second actually. At the end of the race, and also, well, I haven't mentioned this, Daniel Ricciardo is the race winner. Daniel Ricciardo is the race winner, and his first ever win in Formula 1. A huge congratulations to him. My driver of the day, very much, because he drove a stellar race. And to be honest, it was because of Nico Rosberg's lack of power and Hamilton's retirement, which is very much why he took the race win. But when these chances come, you have to go for it before they go away again, before the chance just goes away from them. So Hamilton isn't that happy, and he just said, as I just saw there on, he says that it was because of running behind Nico all the time. Nico's dirty hot air went into Lewis Hamilton's brakes, warmed them up, and that pretty much, according to Hamilton, I don't think we've had any confirmation from Mercedes, but a lot of people are saying that due to the manner of how he took corners, and particularly at the last chicane, that it was definitely a brake failure. He said that because of the dirty air running behind Nico pretty much throughout the whole race, he had his brakes just gave way. It's so unfortunate because Canada is a really good track for Lewis. It's one of his favourite tracks. Personally, I like it, and really, I think it's sort of suits his driving style. And it was actually quite a tricky weekend for the cars because the drivers, because of Canada's fast nature, they just tend to floor the car to middle a foot to the ground on the throttle. But because of the amount of torques that the engine has this year, when they do that, when they floor it like last year, it's just the car's all over the place because the torque kicks in, the throttle kicks in, and the gears just spin and they're just drifting all over the place. But we will see this in the next couple of tracks, and next is Austria actually, the return of the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Building. I don't think that is necessarily, I think that's sort of is like Hungary as far as I know. Just, well, I don't even have a picture of it in my head or on the PC right now, but I think it sort of is like Hungary. It's quite tight, it's not as fast as Canada, but in tracks like Italy, Belgium, Silverstone, these kind of tracks, fast tracks, Japan and Suzuka, these tracks we will see quite a lot of drifting happening from the cars because of the amount of torques. And apparently, going back to Mercedes, Nico Rosberg's controversial corner cut. Now actually, I never actually saw this, but apparently when Lewis was trying to overtake him on the last chicane, Rosberg cut the last part of the chicane, going onto the start-finish straight, and apparently he did gain a bit of an advantage as far as I know, and apparently he didn't get a penalty for it. So Lewis Hamilton fanboys are saying, "Oh, Nico Rosberg must have paid the FIA to say nothing about this, and just like FIA's on Nico Rosberg's side." Prove it. Just prove it. It doesn't make this complete nonsense for Lewis Hamilton fanboys to say this. They obviously want Lewis Hamilton to win, and they feel that he isn't comfortable in Mercedes, and Mercedes supports Nico Rosberg, well, because he's German and Mercedes is German as well. And they think that they've got a big fat red button on the pit wall saying terminate Lewis Hamilton, press it, and boom goes Lewis Hamilton. It's not like that. Do you think that the FIA would check this before the start of the race? Obviously the FIA would check this to make sure that nothing suspicious and nothing suspicious happens with the team. Going back to Red Bull quickly, surprising stats here. Comparing Daniel Ricciardo to Sebastian Vettel, this is of course Daniel Ricciardo's first race or first season with the Red Bull team, and this is actually going for quite a long time. It's got 10 minutes, bloody hell. So Daniel, trying to speed up. Daniel Ricciardo, this is his third podium on the chart. Before, technically, if you include Australia, but since he got disqualified for that, technically it's not exactly a podium. So 3 podiums for Daniel Ricciardo and only 2 for Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time world champion, is 1 podium behind Daniel Ricciardo, and as a result of this, Daniel Ricciardo got more consistent. Daniel Ricciardo is 19 points ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Daniel Ricciardo is 3rd currently in the World Championship. I'll just check where he is in the standings. Yeah, he's 3rd. And just thinking about it in my head, he's around about 39 points? No. 41 points, I think. Around about 41 points behind Lewis Hamilton. That I'm doing that sum in my head. If it's wrong, don't kill me, please. I'm sorry. Anyway, rather interesting. As a result of the Nico Rosberg's loss of power, the top 4 were gaining on him, and there was a rather interesting, rather violent crash. Felipe Massa and Sergio Perez had a huge shunt going into the first corner on the last lap, which brought out the safety car, which guaranteed Daniel Ricciardo's race win. I'll probably put a link down in the description below if you guys want to see the video. I was thinking of putting it on this video, but just to stop copyright and all that shenanigans, I'll just post it down on the link so you guys will see it. Sebastian went to Lotus. Lotus is terribly another double retirement from Lotus. I think that's, well, as far as I know, that's about 4 races, I think. 4 races so far that Lotus has had a double retirement, because I'm looking at the championship right now, and Roman Grosjean is 13th with 8 points, and Pastor Maldonado with 0 points. And people say no, it's because of Pastor Maldonado and that, but it's just Renault and Lotus is finding it very difficult to finding the most amount of reliability, the most amount of performance out of this new Renault engine. And apparently Renault is supposed to have their engine properly up to date, properly 100% power going out of it. But I don't know. Well, obviously Dan Ricciardo managed to take the race win, but they were struggling compared to some Mercedes powered cars. With Williams were the fastest, with Felipe Massa posting the fastest lap time of the Canadian Grand Prix with a time of 1:18.5, and the majority of the grid, Mercedes power grid, were very close to. I think the closest one was, well, it was actually a Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen, with the 1:18.529 was only 1/200th off Massa's fastest lap time. Yeah, well, it was Mercedes definitely did have the reliability problems. It wasn't only Mercedes, apparently Williams. But Valtteri Bottas and Williams, he was struggling with his brakes as well, and he was told to brake. He was told to take easy with his brakes, and as well as Sergio Perez, which ultimately led to his crash with Felipe Massa. Apparently, if you look at the video, Perez turned in on him, looked like he was having a wee look at Sebastian Vettel on the inside of turn 1 for 3rd place. But apparently he never saw Massa, and both of them touched, and which caused a huge crash, both of them. And Massa narrowly missed Sebastian Vettel as well on the entry of turn 1. It was very lucky for Vettel to get through, and luckily both Sergio Perez and Felipe Massa are well. They got discharged from the hospital, I think today, or yesterday after this, I think it was today. So they're very lucky to get away with that, and just thanks to the amount of safety upgrades that have happened to Formula 1 over the recent years, that they've actually survived it. Because if you look back the 80s and 70s, 80s, probably the early 90s, if this happens in those eras, then either or both of the drivers would have lost their lives that night. So very lucky to see them both win to survive. McLaren had done finish fourth and ninth. McLaren still needs to sort out their cars. Apparently they were struggling with oversteer, and throughout the season, well, apparently I think all the teams are really because of their torques, but it's just their setup isn't good enough, and it's a bit of a shame. Bloody, this is so long, isn't it? 15 minutes. I'm going to try and hurry this up. There was another crash at the start of the race, which triggered the first safety car, which lasted about 6 laps, I think. Max Chilton scored his first ever retirement of his career. He crashed into his teammate. Apparently, I think he was trying to go around the inside of Bianchi, and he broke late, but Bianchi broke even later, and he was sort of caught out, and they both touched, and Max Chilton, I believe, was given a 3-place grid penalty for Austria. And was kind of was a shame, because Max Chilton has done incredibly well, and it was a huge shame for Gilles Bianchi as well, because he scored in Marussia their first 2 points, the first ever points in Formula 1 2 weeks ago in Monaco. So it was a bit of a shame for both Marussia drivers to be taken out by each other on the same lap, on the first lap of the race. It was really rather unfortunate. Both Caterham was retired. Both the Mauritius retired. Both Caterham was retired. Pastor Maldonado retired. Lewis Hamilton retired. Daniel Kvyat in the Toro Rosso, another Renault-powered car, retired. Lotus and Romain Grosjean retired. Esteban Gutierrez in the Sauber. Both Saubers actually retired. Williams of Felipe Massa and the Force India of Sergio Perez retired as well. So only the top 10 managed to survive that race. And it was a rather hectic race, and hopefully we won't get as many crashes, and hopefully we'll actually see some proper racing, because there was really good racing happening today, especially the last couple of laps, where like all the top 4 were battling out. And it was just incredible to see all the overtakes and happening with them, all the shenanigans happening with them. But obviously it ended badly with Massa and Perez coming together. That's just racing, really, and these sort of things do happen. You just need to take care of the mirrors and that kind of stuff. I sound like a racing driver now myself. I'll never be a racing driver, as you can probably see from my Journey to the Academy videos. I'll post a link to that in the description as well. So that's the end of this rather long review for the Canadian Grand Prix, mainly blabbling about with Mercedes. 18 minutes, oh my god, the start is a bit long. I'll try and shorten them down in the future. So yep, that's about it for this review. Next stop is Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix, obviously, at the Red Bull Ring. So that'll be really interesting to see. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. This has been GT5K 101, and I shall see you later.